So I'm catching up with Rob today from the employment team. Good morning, Rob. Thanks for taking the time to speak to us.
Morning, John.
Good stuff. So just tell us a little bit about, if someone was to say to you, so Rob, what do you do in the employment hub? What would it be? What's your elevator pitch if you were going up in the elevator at City Hall?
Okay, so my role is really engaging with job seekers to let them know about opportunities. So that could be jobs, apprenticeships, voluntary opportunities, or training courses and services for them to help them secure employment.
Okay, so how would someone get to you? How do they come onto your radar for you to be able to support them?
Okay, so we have a website, which is leicesteremploymenthub.co.uk. We also have social media feeds. So we have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn actually now. So yeah, they're kind of the main ways, especially at the moment, that we engage with individuals.
Okay, so it's interesting, isn't it, that people will use social media to come through, maybe answer some questions, some specific help that they might need. But now with lockdown, with everything being so much more online and digital focused, I guess it's almost like how much of that will we retain when we go back to whatever the new normal is. When it comes to that, there might be some face-to-face stuff, and obviously the new employment hub in the city here, which we can talk about in a moment. But I mean, from your point of view, has it worked really well, that kind of online engagement?
I think it has. The main event that I normally work on is called Hub 100, and it's where we get together over 100 vacancies, which are mostly apprenticeships, but also we've had more and more jobs come into that as well, and we promote that list to individuals. And what used to happen is we'd arrange face-to-face interviews for those candidates with training providers or recruiters. But obviously with COVID, we've had to move that all online. And in some ways, it's better because it's a quicker process. So whereas before we had to wait for the event in order for their interview to happen, which might be maybe 10 days after they see the job they're interested in, now I can just instantly refer details through. If candidates get in touch, refer them through to an employer, and they might be on the phone with them for a phone interview or a Skype interview that same day. So it's, we can turn things around quicker. But I suppose the downside is, has everyone got access to that technology, which we kind of know they haven't. And we know particularly the groups that we're really trying to help furthest from the labour market are, particularly probably struggling in that area. It's something we've got to make sure people have access to it, and then have the knowledge once they've got access of how to actually get onto that those events.
Do you think this is where the physical space, the employment hub that's planned for the city centre here, do you think that will really help to be able to fill that gap? Because we're just, as you know, we're just on Northampton Street, just off of Granby Street here. So just down here is the City Council, is kind of like the main sort of customer service centre, and you see pre-COVID, people queuing up there, going in, getting advice and that kind of stuff, and kind of coming out with hopefully an answer, even if it's not the right answer thereafter. At least they've spoken to someone, it's an answer. And sometimes the frustration comes with there's the access to digital and being online, but also not necessarily being able to speak to someone. And it's all
Definitely.
done by email. So that kind of face-to-face, that really helps in this situation, doesn't it? Particularly if someone's got a challenging backstory or any kind of things that makes it a lot more difficult for them to walk into, say, a recruitment agency, for example. That conversation suddenly becomes so much more important, doesn't it?
Definitely. You're right. We really need that face-to-face element. And I think, sitting down with the job seekers and, giving them chance to actually talk through the issues, or us talking them through the process of what we're trying to do with our events, it is a lot easier face to face. And sometimes I think you're right, it's the frustration that, if particularly with people that aren't that great with IT, it's just challenge after challenge for them. Whereas if you can sit with us in a room, we can make those things happen pretty quickly, which we know we've done with previous events. And that was, you know, the initial selling point of that event was we knew that once recruiters meet these candidates face to face, it'll go well for them. They want to help them, you know, but without that face to face meeting, again, perhaps people like us take it for granted that being on the phone to someone's easy and you can be relaxed and have a chat. Not everyone does, and I think I'm finding, particularly younger people, they're not that great on the phone, and maybe actually they're better face to face.
Yeah, more of an opportunity to sell yourself, particularly if you've got a particular type of skill. I mean, you know, teaching part-time at the university, I mean, I teach on the creative media entrepreneurship module, which is, you know, young people that are quite keen to set themselves up as sort of freelancers, you know, entrepreneurs, influencers more now, people with side hustles. You know what I mean? There's always been side hustles, but it's actually got a term now. It's really interesting that you go from the physical creation of a business plan, or, you know, financial, like, you know, cash flows, or building websites, and suddenly it's the website and the social media, and then them doing a Pecha Kucha kind of presentation about their business is completely different from what they've written. And it's the same with people, isn't it? Particularly, as you said, the people you're trying to focus at that end of the job market that might struggle to engage with it, but also those that come with a sort of a non-traditional 9 to 5. I think, you know, one of the things with COVID is going to be looking back at, you know, those people that were lucky enough to be in a job where they could be furloughed. We were talking about the people that are 0-hour contracted, maybe working in retail, things like that. These are the people that are going to be looking for maybe additional work or a new job moving on, but also something that can still take into account the fact that they're a carer, or they need flexible hours, or they've got, you know, children that are at school. That's where the shop really or the new space will come into its own, isn't it? Having a kind of retail unit that people can come in and ask, because then they can turn around and say, these are my parameters, if you like, for my job search. It's very difficult to build a website where that job is listed with all of those options available.
Yeah, I think particularly, like you say, those people with sort of, where there's a bit more on the sorry.
Yeah, well, it's the people with that additional stuff, isn't it? I mean, there's so much. Everybody's story in life is so completely different, isn't it? Whereas, you know, I mean, you know, I think of my two sons, and Tracy Waterfield actually helped give me some advice to one of my younger sons who was considering an apprenticeship, and he was considering a retail apprenticeship, and then he was looking at Caterpillar, I think, because he wanted to do something that was kind of non-academic. And I think those conversations and the links that Tracy provided and places to look, at that age, I think he was like, you know, 18, 19, kind of just coming up for finishing his diploma at secondary school in sixth form.
I think I remember helping with his CV, John.
Brilliant, excellent. Yes, Elliot, fantastic. Well done. Thank you, Rob. I didn't realise that you were involved in that. He's just now coming up he's just finished his first 2 years in the army as a vehicle mechanic. So he's kind of, you know, he's doing an MVQ. He's gone in, he's done something very practical. He'll come out with a qualification. And obviously had a bit of a good time. It's a bit of a challenge for him at the moment in COVID. But I think it's just explaining to people the different options that are there. And that's what's been great doing this newsroom, talking to, you know, Nav, and then Alice, who's at Boots, and then talking to, you know, Gerard from the LaLep, and then John down at LCFC in the community. Just all the different options that are available. People just don't realise, they don't understand all the different permutations of roles that happen at the High Cross, for example. You know, we were talking about the football. You know, we could probably run out of post-its from a post-it pad of jobs that are down at the football ground before you even got onto going on the pitch and kicking a football.
No, it's the same in a lot of industries where people just think, oh, you know, the NHS is about, you know, being a doctor or a nurse, and that's about it. And obviously, they've all got marketing departments, legal departments, admin, IT, whatever it is. Within most industries, you find there's a huge range of perhaps support services or things going on in the background that most people don't consider.
Okay, fine. Final thing then, Rob, then I'll let you go. What's the best thing about your job?
Helping people. I'd say it's you know, there's nothing more rewarding, I don't think, than helping people, and it's really helping people or empowering people to help themselves. I think, I'll rephrase that. Sorry.
Excellent.
It's seeing them it's not just helping someone, it's helping someone help themselves, and empowering them, and seeing people really move from a situation where perhaps they're quite negative and think they've not got much going for them, to reflecting back to them perhaps past experience, what actually they have got going for them. They've got loads of things, transferable skills, whatever it is, and then seeing them achieve what they can achieve. And mostly with our roles, that is getting people into work, and perhaps that's been a lot, they've been a long time out of work, so it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's
And
life changing, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, and I think seeing that journey, like I say, from meeting someone who's got low confidence, long time out of work, and supporting them through to actually finding a job. And then a lot of people stay in touch as well. They'll get in touch, or you'll hear back from people 5 years later, they're moving into another job, or can you give me a reference, or whatever it is. So
Excellent. Yeah,
you know
that's good. That's good. Well, there's not many things I think people do now where you can actually get some kind of job satisfaction that's not just measured in money or holidays or perks. So that's actually quite good. Someone's actually stopping you in the street and going, "Hey, you helped me 3 years ago." That's really cool. I like that.
you get that. Definitely.
Brilliant. Lovely. Rob, thanks very much for taking the time to talk to me. I'm looking forward to going forward as we plan the newsroom ready for the 30th of April on the Friday, 12 till 3. It's going to be an exciting 3 hours, I think, obviously, which you're an integral part of. So I'm looking forward to you really coming on board and being able to talk more about what you do. It sounds like you're the guy with the knows where the doors are that people should be knocking on and stuff, and then challenging them to go through and make some real life changing decisions, I think. So it's good stuff. Thanks very much.
Thanks, John. Cheers. So it's